World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons. We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Hey, what's happening?
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. Oh, okay. Had a kind of a temporary blackout there for a minute. I'm not sure why that is, but nevertheless, that is what happens in this new world of technology and virtual. Everything is live, and sometimes it just doesn't go as you would want it to. Nevertheless, we are moving close to the midsummer, or in August at any rate. And what that means is that Harlem Week is right around the corner. And one of the first activities that we're going to talk about today as relates to the Harlem Week related events is a special ceremony dealing with inductees into the Each One Teach One Hall of Fame. And I have on the line, I know Richard Cox is there, Freddie Crawford, George Bell, and Bob McCullough are also scheduled to be on the show to talk about this event that will take place on August the 6th. And I believe Richard is on. Richard, are you there? How are you?
Hey, Tony, I'm here.
Okay, and I know that George Bell, Freddie Crawford, and Bob McCullough are going to be trying to get on. And when they are on, they can obviously get on. There's Freddie. How you doing, Freddie?
And it's George Ball.
Yeah, George. I don't want to interrupt you, Tony. It's George Ball.
George Ball, not George Bell, which is why you always need help.
I don't want him to be waiting for you outside.
No, because George is a big guy.
I'm talking about.
But and I'm glad he had to go out someplace, so he didn't hear me. So that's good. But nevertheless, I know that Richard, you might have to break a little bit. And since you're the newbie, I'll let you go first to talk about your relationship with Each One Teach One and what, from your perspective, is going to be happening on the 6th. And then we'll move over into Freddie, who's one of the elders.
Well, Tony, it's always good to be, in the presence of the chairman. And we relate to Fred Crawford as the chairman. Bob McCullough we refer to as the president. So, when you're in the presence of the chairman, that's the seat of power, and that's what we always look at Fred as the seat of power in this situation here. So, first of all, good afternoon to the chairman of the National Association of Each One Teach One and the Rucker Pro Legends, Fred Crawford. It's looking back over the past 55 years plus that this ceremony is going to take place on August 6th at the Alhambra. It's not only recognizing, great players on the court, but it's also going to be recognizing, a large amount of contributors off the court. People who have actually served the community well, people who have been, impactful over the last 55 years. So when you go through the list of the honorees, and definitely when Bob McCullough gets on, even George Ball will let you know who the honorees are for this year. You can just see the wide range of contribution that these folks have had throughout the 55 plus year history of the National Association Each One, most notably the Rucker Pro Legends. So, just to start off with that alone, brings what we call another level of recognition to some of the indigenous sports and sports activities that we have in our village in Harlem. I've always talked about, the indigenous sports. We've talked about things like the cycling event being an indigenous sport here, activity in Harlem, the stickball championships, also part of indigenous sports, but also taking a look at, the contribution of Double Dutch and now, as always, the basketball events at Rucker Park. We're talking about a legendary space. It's a sacred space, as we all know, when it comes to basketball, most notably street basketball. So, just looking all that in all different levels, we're going to be happy for this celebration on August 6th at the Alhambra. So that's how I just want to open it up, just bringing some recognition to that. And I will definitely relinquish the rest of my time to the chair.
Well, again, Fred Crawford is a brother that has been involved in Harlem for many, many, many years, a former NBA player and entrepreneur. I know that his sporting goods store helped many young people, including myself. Our friend Major Wallace, he used to get our karate uniforms out of his store, and Appletown, and Fred has again been one of those brothers that has given back. He stayed in Harlem. Again, he played in the National Basketball League, as well as he was a star in college. St. Bonaventure, right, Fred?
St. Bonaventure University.
And but anyway, Each One Teach One is and the Rucker Legends, as well as many of the other Golden Hoops and many of those programs, developed by those individuals who did very well in the sport and decided to follow with Holcomb Rucker in the footsteps of Holcomb Rucker, is using basketball as a way to teach young people the game of life. And Fred, give us a little talk about, let the viewers know who you are, first of all, and your relationship with the Each One Teach One program.
All right, Tone. So actually, I was born in Harlem Hospital X number of years ago, and grew up in the streets and whatnot. And at the time, that was the basketball was probably the most available way to provide recreation. I'd like to first say, I received a gift from the community. I see my contribution as giving back, because I was given gifts by the people who went before me, Carl Green and Bob Gates, Sonny Younger, and it's a whole history of all the way back to the Renaissance and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a history, but for me, I've always looked at this as as it's an honor for me to do what I've been doing over the years, Bob and I, and they passed the pendulum to us, and it's on whose shoulders we stand, and now it's become, or it has become, quite commercial. I know it's on TV, but when we were looking at it, we used to put our little pennies together and cash bottles and all that stuff in order to buy the shirts and pay the reference. And so, like I say, I as an honor and a privilege have been able to make a contribution to growth and development of our community. So many youngsters have come through the program, and this was basically without any major funding. I see some of them now, and they got children and grandchildren, and so it's quite an adventure. But I just want to make sure that the audience understands that I feel in my own involvement, and I think Bob feels that way too, that we were chosen to provide a service and service to the community, and that's what we did for 55 years and still doing it. As you said, there was a time back when I was playing in the NBA, I had a sporting goods store on 45th Street, and we named the store Appletown Sporting Goods after the Big Apple and so on and so forth. And it was a very attractive venue because all the pro guys, Kareem and then Willis Reed and Walt Frazier, all these guys would come by the store, and the kids would get out of school and congregate around the store to get a chance to shake these guys' hands and be part of that whole each one philosophy. And so as a result of that, the people who were running back at the time, Converse and Pro Kids, were the sneakers, the go-to sneakers, and they sent the national marketing people up to 145th Street and 7th Avenue to find out what was going on. How was these guys selling all these sneakers? And so my secret weapon was, each one teach one, and the fact that all the pro players would congregate outside the store and on a casual basis and get an opportunity to shake hands and share with the community.
Well, again, and you were one of those people that people wanted to shake hands with because you were able to bring a lot of the professional basketball players to the park. One of the things that I always remember is the crowds in Rucker Park when Dr. J or Charlie Scott or all of those guys would be playing. You would see people hanging off the trees, hanging on the tops of buildings, and the like. Let's talk a little bit about Bob McCullough, who really is the torch bearer here. Richard, how did you connect with Bob McCullough?
I've actually connected with Bob McCullough several times over the past decade. But things kind of really came to light about 3 years ago when him and I actually were working on a similar project for funding for a community event. And I basically approached him and I said, well, Bob, we might need to work a little more closer together about these projects and, take a look at, collaborating in terms of funding. So he arranged a brief meeting with myself, George Ball, even Fred Crawford was there. And actually, I have a photo I have to share with you one day, Tony, of the four of us sitting at the restaurant, just going through, some of the ideals that I had. And next thing you know, I was on an interview with Bob McCullough, similar to this. And in the midst of the interview, Bob McCullough came out and said, he says, that's a great ideal, but I would like to run that past our executive director, Richard Cox. And, here we are on a live interview, and I'm trying to keep a straight face. And I'm just saying, what did he just say? And so afterwards, I said to Bob, well, you just called me executive director. He says, oh, yeah. He says, I forgot to tell you. He says, I want you to be executive director with the National Association of Each One Teach One and Rucker Pro Legends. And so I kind of thought he was joking, but, sure enough, he wasn't. So I've been happy to, work alongside with him, and Fred and George in terms of, with the power of an executive director and keeping the organization relevant and also keeping the organization fluid, which are two things. We went through COVID right at the beginning of me becoming executive director. And we were so happy that we were able to collaborate and work out an ideal that consisted of non-contact basketball clinics. And the non-contact basketball clinics, we developed an ideal similar to how the NBA runs its skills and drills clinics during the All-Star game, where there really is no contact. That consisted of the 3-point shots, the dribbling contest, things that weren't allowed individuals to have contact with others. Through that, we was able to obtain some grants that supported our concepts. And we were so happy that, that New York City and the state were able to see exactly the impact that Each One Teach One can have, even through COVID. And so that kind of like sealed the relationship between myself and Bob McCullough. And so ever since then, we pretty much been joined at the hip. I'm trying to figure out, who calls me more, Tony Rogers or Bob McCullough.
Well, I learned from Bob and Freddie. So, but Fred Crawford, tell us how you came in contact with the commissioner, Bob McCullough. That's what we call him, the commissioner. So.
Yeah, the commish. Yeah, so me and Bob hooked up in junior high school. We both went to Frederick Douglass Junior High School, and so I'm walking down the hallway, and some of Bob's friends are friends of mine. So Bob grabs my hat and starts passing it around, talking about playing Salushi. Man, you don't know me, man. He said, yeah, but so that's how we met. And instead of fighting, we decided to be boys. And boy, the rest is history. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to tell you some of the commissioner stories.
Oh boy, that's a book. We would have to have 4 or 5 shows. But for the listeners,
like
the
today,
Bob McCulloughs, the Freddie Crawfords, these guys are living legends. And one of the reasons why, and I'm sorry, Bob couldn't. I might have to go to his house the next time we do the broadcast so that I bring my computer, because I want people to see the Freddie Crawfords and the Bob McCulloughs, because so many, when we talk about each one, teach one, we talk about the Rucker tradition. So many people, so many young people have benefited from these brothers. And yeah, there may be some mishaps in this new technology, but the technology of the game of life, they're experts in. And oh, Bobby Hunter, Stephanie Francis just talked about Bobby Hunter and Zorro. And that's another brother that was part of all of this. And one of the things that, I mean, the family goes back. I became really connected. There was a program called the Harlem 42. Bob Williams was the head of that program. And that's where I really became connected with the Rucker people. Matter of fact, many of the people that I used to look at and admire at the games, I became friends with. And, they didn't know, but I was like, I said, wow, Freddie Crawford, I could sit down and talk to Freddie Crawford. Yeah. And these guys were the real role models in the community. And what we're doing now, thanks to Soul City, is to document these individuals so that people will always know how a lot of this started, as far as this whole name of Rucker, the whole idea of who Holcomb Rucker went to City College, and he kind of adopted Bob McCullough. Bob was one of the highest scorers in college basketball at one point, and went to Benedict College with my mother and my cousin. And there was always, my cousin used to always say Bob was the highest scorer because he didn't always give up the ball. but I can say that. I know Bob may be listening, but I can't say that while he's around. He might hit me.
You can tell the truth now. Don't be scared of telling the truth.
But I admire, since Harlem Week, I've known these brothers. Again, Harlem 42 was how I really became close. That's wow, about 40 years ago. So it's been a labor of love, but I've seen all of the many different programs that have come and gone. But each one teach one is a program that is still there. And one of the great things about Bob, I know a lot of his, his wife, his son, they're all involved in it. So there's some future there as relates to maintaining the legacy. But for those who are seeing Fred Crawford, this brother is a humble brother, but has done so much in this community in many different ways. An advocate with the chamber and all of those different things.
President of the school board. Come on, man. Give me my sound. You know what I mean?
Right.
Chairman of the housing board, on the community planning board. But I don't want to let it, I think Richard had to go, but I don't want to underscore how a significant a role that Richard has played in terms of helping us organize, the programs and putting in quality time, so that the things can continue. There's obviously no big money incentives. But so Rich is gone, but I wanted to make sure that everybody, and George Ball, another a guy, and there are many others, but those are two guys who made significant contributions in terms of me supporting the commissioner and myself, and but now they're working on stop the violence. They're
Right.
working trying to get something going with all of these shootings, and again, Richard and Bob and George are right in the midst of trying to develop a program, in the park at night where the lights are on, and they want to have a thing that Bob called midnight basketball,
Mm.
where he'll keep the park open until midnight and have programming and everything going on in there. So it's the commission's very creative, and George, and so hey, we got a battle. We got a battle on our hands. So
Now, tell us a little bit, Fred, about the awards night for Each One Teach One, the induction for a number of people in the Each One Teach One Hall of Fame.
well, what the committee got together and selected the top 75 ball players as well as contributors who have meant so much to the program over the years, and we wanted to make sure they got some recognition. There's a whole lot of behind the scenes persons like yourself, Tony. Don't try to hide that have made contributions financially and time wise and resource wise in order to make this thing happen. This is not, although people talk about myself and Bob, this don't happen without everybody. You know what I mean? So,
And I know people like my buddy, your friend Lord Williams, Butch Purcell,
yeah,
Carl Green.
yeah.
These are just some of the people who will be honored on August the 6th at the Alhambra Ballroom. Each One Teach One. If people want to find out more about the awards night, how would they be able to do that? I know they can call the chamber at 212-862-7200, but is there a site for Each One Teach One that has any information on it, Fred?
Well, I told you like y'all did the last time. You and the commissioner tricked me. He fell off just like he did today. So that the commissioner got all that stuff. I don't.
Yeah,
It,
well,
it,
again, you can always call the chamber 862-7200, the Great Harlem Chamber of Commerce, and get the information. I know Bob was doing his best to try to get on, but that's fine. The most important thing is for people to know the name Bob McCullough Sr. When we start talking about uh, the legends and people who have done so much in this community as relates to now, as you're saying, stop the violence, creating a way to allow for young people to continue to have proper role models. And for some, they may not understand why it's important to have a Freddie Crawford or a Bob McCullough or George Ball. Tell us about George, Freddie.
George is a young man who Bob mentored into the Each One Teach One program when he was like a kid, a teenager. George is now the principal of IS 201, I believe, and the executive director of Each One and a whole lot of other things. Bob also, because I think he went to Benedict. Bob got him a scholarship to Benedict.
He went to Benedict too, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Part of the Benedict connection. And he's been just doing outstanding work, coaching, providing leadership and mentorship to countless number of people. And all this is being done on short money.
And the thing is that it's a fine example of each one teach one, as
Right.
to how in the Harlem community, how a number of brothers and women,
Yes. Yes.
sisters, who took part in making this happen. So those are the things that are extremely important. And I remember we used to have a program at City College called the Golden Hoops. Remember that?
Yeah.
You know, which was during the holidays, if I'm not mistaken, during the
Christmas
Christmas
holiday.
holidays. And that was a way to bring back high school basketball back to New York City. And again, Bob McCullough, Doc Holliday, the Doc Holliday
Doc,
uh,
Arnie.
program. Yeah. You know, the Golden Hoops was at, I believe the Golden Hoops was at Columbia, I believe, and the Doc Holliday tournament was at the City College of New York, if that's the way it was.
They used both venues, Tone, if I'm not correct,
Right.
at the time, you know?
And but again, the whole purpose of this, and reason why I thought it was important to have this show is there are so many things that people read about what happens or what should be happening in the community, but so many people, so many young people have come up through this Each One Teach One program, through the different programs. We even had a program at the City College of New York while it was there that Bob was helped me put together. I helped him put together because he needed to have a college to do this special program for young people. And that program is still going on. At least the people who were hired are still working up at City College. And that was many years ago. Can't tell you how many people came through there. So
another, I don't know if you saw, they had yesterday was, I think, Jackie Robinson's 100th birthday.
Right. The museum opened up. Yeah.
Had a special on TV last night talking about Jackie Robinson and his contribution to all of us in terms of going forward. I mean, it was a fabulous show, and other people were making mention of what he did, just him singularly, for not only baseball but race relations and how much he endured. And I think, see, what I always want to do is when we talk about Harlem, this is a long history of, Harlem goes back, man, with the Renaissance and all the writers and the creative people and all the churches and everything. So there's a rich history that young people need to know about, to inspire them and to let them know that, hey, man, you come from royalty. You know what I mean? We all. And when I talk to young folks now, we all have challenges. There's nobody walking around that doesn't have a challenge, but you gotta meet that challenge. And then we want to direct them to people and resources. And so you look at the challenge that Jackie Robinson took on, man. So don't think that because because you got a little challenge or this and that that's not going on the way you think it should be. Everybody got challenges. The question is, you're gonna step up and meet that challenge and help help to it's like a relay race. You know what I mean? You're gonna pass the baton to the next generation. And what's that gonna look like?
And plus everyone has a choice. We tend not to understand that many of the things that happen to us, we do have a choice. It may be difficult, it may be a lot stacked up against us, but as you mentioned with Jackie Robinson, I mean, he chose to do something that was at one point considered to be impossible to do. But if you believe in yourself and you have this in your mind and you're willing to go through the objective conditions in order to make it happen, you could be the first in basketball, you could be the first in baseball, you could be the president. You know, there are many things that are possible based on you choosing to do what is necessary in order to accomplish those goals.
Yeah, you got to believe in your people. That's the bigger thing. That was what Jackie Robinson was. Is the thing that his son said. What energized his father was that his father believed in his people, and black people, and black people's ability. And, you know, because Jackie not only played baseball, he played professional basketball. He was a officer in the armed forces. So, you know, I like when we're talking about Harlem. I think we ought to begin to talk more about the connection between the Harlem Renaissance and all of that stuff, literary and political and social, that connects us all together. It has to be all brought together so people can see, you know, that we have made a lot of strides.
Richard, as relates to the event on August the 6th, if people are interested in getting involved with it, what would they do?
Yeah, if folks still want to attend the event, I might be a little sorry to say that the event is nearly sold out, if not sold out at this moment. So, but there will be a streaming component that will take place. Right.
Uh-huh.
And I was about to lead into that just a little bit, just teasing it a little bit. But, there will be a component where people will be able to see and participate, virtually at the event, either live or through a minor delay.
Right.
But we also want to remind folks that, supporting the National Association of Teach One, supporting the Rucker Pro Legends, we appreciate, you guys showing up, everybody being involved with the event itself. But, we are a public charity. We are a recognized 501c3. And, it takes the support of funding to make a lot of these events work. So what we're going to do, Tony, following this show, we're going to, send you some links that you can hopefully send out to your viewership and also through Soul City Television on how folks, can support this Hall of Fame ceremony, how people can continue to support the National Association Each One Teach One, and of course, how people can continue to support the Rucker Pro Legends. And, it's through some of the legendary stories that we hear now, coming from Fred, calling from Bob, and so forth. Those original stories, are not going to be around forever. So we're going to have to learn how to cherish the legacies while the legacy is still standing before us. So, with all that, back to the original question, we're nearly sold out for that event. And we might have to take a look at some sort of virtual support for those who want to attend.
And if I'm not mistaken, some of the virtual showing, even if it's not live, but it may be delayed, will be on the HarlemWeek.com websites. A lot of the Harlem Week activities will be on the HarlemWeek.com website. Thanks again to Soul City and many other entities, but in the main, Soul City has been able to find ways to make sure that those who are not able to come to many of the Harlem Week outdoor events, such as the Great Day in Harlem, which is August the 14th, The Saturday um, uh, event on the 21st, which used to be Uptown Saturday night, but since now we have to end at 6, we, it's not Uptown Saturday night anymore. It used to be we'll be there all night at 125th Street, and then of course the 48th uh, annual Harlem Day. It's been 48 years that this program has been going on, and again through the Each One Teach Ones, Bob McCullough's, Freddie Crawford. Every year that we've been doing this, there have been basketball clinics, there have been other types of activities to again allow for young people to understand how they might be able to take the things that they're doing as relates to the team sport into, as I said before, the game of life. Harlem Week will start on August the 12th. It's going to be in August. All of the activities. We're just beginning to move into more of the live activities based on the COVID lockdown. A lot of things had to be virtual, but fortunately, as we start to move into uh, some uh, connections that were prevented during COVID, we will do a number of live activities. So that's a good thing. But again, thanks to Soul City, if you can't get to one of the events, you might be able to go to the Harlem Week site to get it done.
Tony, I would just like to interject for a moment. We always think about things and talking about all of this stuff, but I don't think we give enough credit to the guys who've been leading this stuff for all of this time. I'm speaking at this point about Lloyd Williams. I'm speaking at this time about, Vosa Rivers and many yourself. And we don't give this stuff just doesn't fall out the sky. It's a major effort and task to pull this together. And so I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that Lloyd Williams, Vosa Rivers, and others have provided amazing leadership to bring us to where we are with Harlem Week and all of the other stuff. That's all. I just want to make sure I put that out there.
Well, I appreciate that, but you have been part of that too, Fred. It's as we all have said, it takes a village. Uh, uh, the idea that when we talk about 48 years or even longer than that, especially if we talk about, Rucker, but what often happens is that we very seldom are able to salute our heroes because up until recently, the media was not always in our favor because we did not control certain things within the media. One of the great things about Soul City is we now are moving into a point where not only can we talk to the person around the corner, we could talk to the person around the world. The internet information technology has allowed for us to do things. I was just talking to a person and we came up with this thought. The revolution may not be televised, but it might be streamed. It's one of those types of things where we have become closer together. We can do programs in Africa. We can bring different types of groups together. And speaking of Africa, a quick commercial, December 8th to the 15th, the Harlem Tourism Board is going back to Senegal. So You can stay tuned here or send a message to the Harlem Tourism Board at gmail.com to find out information about that. But the idea is we all have played some important roles in creating a situation because we didn't have to be here. Richard, with his, as Bob called, genius, Richard is a smart guy. He speaks about 5 different languages and knows how to write all of these proposals and things like that. He could be doing a lot of other things, but as far as being with the tourism board, Harlem Week, and of course, one of the programs that just started this summer, the Market in the Heights, which on Thursday at the City College of New York will have its pop-up event this coming Thursday and this coming Saturday, as well as in August, where you can come and get fresh vegetables and fresh food and do all of those types of things. And for a small amount, $23, you can get enough vegetables to feed a family for maybe about a week. So these are the things that Richard Cox has been doing, and I salute him. And again, we're going to have to get Fred Crawford, Bobby Hunter, and Bob McCullough on. We need to record these conversations because they're conversations that Fred was saying, especially with Bob McCullough, that have to be recorded in some kind of way.
Well, look, Tony, if I could interject for a moment, does Soul City have the capacity to help us put together podcasts? Because I mean, this is the way everybody's moving in the technology space. And this might be, I just wanted to put that out there so that you and the higher ups and the people who are in the know on the technology end can figure out how to put together some podcasts.
Well, again, there's so many things on the table, but all things are possible. However, we have to make sure that we get everybody able to do those types of things. And
That's a thought, my man. That's a thought.
The technology is there. It's just making it happen, which is sometimes always difficult. But it's a good thought. We have to, and one of the reasons again we're doing this, we have to preserve our history. It's very important for people to understand that things just didn't happen. When you look at 125th Street, Fred Crawford, Lloyd Williams, and myself was on Community Board 10 when they were tearing up the streets on 125th Street of the water mains and creating all kinds of different types of programs to revitalize Harlem. That period of Community Board 10 in the 80s and the 90s really set the foundation for much of what you see now, especially on 8th Avenue and many of the locations where now you see restaurants and all of those things. That came through a time period through the Manhattan Community Board 10. And so there's a lot of history, Fred. You're right. There's a lot of history that needs to be documented in some kind of way so that when those who come after us, they will be able to understand what and how many of these things happen. Rich, you may not be aware, but Fred, you're I'm sure aware of Blafrica Promotions, which was the predecessor of the involvement with a number of us with the then Uptown Chamber of Commerce, which then turned into the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. So I just would like to say, if not now, when? If not us, who?
And that's exactly why this particular show. I'm sorry that George Ball and Bob McCullough were not able to get on based on some technical issues. However, their name is out there.
Mm-hmm.
People will know those names when you hear of Holcomb Rucker Park, each one teach one. The person who's still here is Bob McCullough. The person who's still here is Fred Crawford. The person who's still here is George Ball. And of course, Bob was so wise to kind of figure out a way to get Richard involved because that's needed. You know, we come from a time where there were no cell phones and computers and all of that stuff. So it's understandable why some of the things are happening as it relates to some of the technology that just is not always easy to master. But we have to keep trying. We have to keep allowing for people to get their face on and document their efforts that have been going on for many, many years. And that's the whole purpose of this, so that people can understand. This is putting history, our history, in front of people who may or may not understand it, but at least in times when we're all not here, you can go back to this and get an understanding as to how things developed into where they are, wherever you may be at this particular time. Richard, anything else you need to talk about, especially Market of the Heights? You want to share?
Yeah, but no, I just want to really just recap and and just expand and just talk more about what we're doing here with the National Association Each One Teach One, and of course with Rucker Park. And for all your listeners out there, Tony, if they have not had a chance to venture to Rucker Park, if they have not had a chance to actually see what we've been talking about and what's been experienced over the last 55 plus years, they need to come on up to 155th Street and 8th Avenue.
Frederick Douglass Boulevard.
Frederick Douglass Boulevard. Well, I'm like most people. We still call it 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and some people now call it Malcolm X, Adam Clayton Powell, and Frederick Douglass. So, just to come on up and take a look at the park. And I always challenge folks to read the small plaques that they have on the side of the gate. It talks about the history of the park, and of course it talks about Holcomb Rucker, but there's always that one sentence that stands out, the part where it talks about what happened next after Holcomb Rucker passed away. And if you read it, it says what? It says after his passing, it talks about his two proteges, the two people who carried on where he left off. And it has two people mentioned, Fred Crawford and Bob McCullough.
Well, again, what we're doing here for people to be aware of is just allowing for the world to understand certain things that are important to us and hopefully are important to many of the people who are interested in the history of Harlem, interested in understanding how all of this stuff took place. Because believe me, without us being able to do what we're doing now, someone else might come up with what they think it is, what they think happened, and how they think it happened. And we see that all the time. But this is an opportunity for you to understand. And yeah, we're going to have some glitches. We're going to have some technical problems. We're going to have a lot of those things going on. But the important thing is for you to hear 20, 30 years from now, a broadcast that talks about the Freddie Crawfords and the Bob McCulloughs, the Each One Teach One, and I'm sure that it'll still be around based on how things are going, to hear about this information and to know where it came from and see the people who actually made it happen. Those things are valuable. they will continue to be valuable. And I'd like to thank again Matt McCoy, Soul City TV, for the things that they've been able to do in order to provide a platform for those things. So we're almost getting ready to wrap up.
Tony,
Fred,
Tony, I just would like to interject one of the ideas and one of the things that historically that we need to and continue to work on is leadership. All of this stuff we're talking about, this is what we need. We need to come up with plans and programs and ideas that cultivate the leadership that we need for the 21st century and beyond. And Tone, I commend you and putting this stuff together. But we need to look at that. We need a leadership uh, uh, cadre of all kinds of people to move us to the next place. Uh, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to put that out there. And this is a part of that leadership.
well, thank you, Fred Crawford, and you have been a tremendous model in making it clear that you not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk. Richard, any last words you might want to share with us, other than having this come out on Thursday?
Yeah, just come on out on Thursday to CCNY. And, if there's inclement weather, obviously we're going to be doubling it up on Saturday. So, look forward to seeing you guys supporting Market in the Heights. And of course, if you haven't joined the Market in the Heights Convent Avenue CSA, we encourage those to be part of that as well. So, Tony, I'm going to send you the link to all of your listeners. You can circulate it through your database. But it's just really supporting Harlem. And as we said, hashtag feed my people.
Well, again, and the reason why I allow for Richard to repeat that is because we have a food desert in that area. And to be able to get fresh produce organic produce from farmers, wherever you are in Central Harlem, at Convent Avenue and 140th Street, is very important to make sure. And if you pick up the Harlem Community News, there's a story about this program there. Again, Harlem Week is going to start pretty soon. I know I heard from Matt McCoy that based on some of the work that's going to take place, we'll probably take a break with our show until after to the beginning of the fall. I'm sure you'll get announcements as to when we'll be able to come back. But I would like to thank those who have listened to us, who have been able to see many different types of people who reflect this Black experience on Soul City through the Urbanology show. I'd like to thank you for your support, and we will be back. I hope that you take advantage of Harlem Week, and I also hope that you consider our homecoming for the tourism board on December 5th to the 18th. So again, thank you. Thank you, Bob McCullough. Thank you, George Ball. Wish you could get back on. Richard Cox. Thank you, Fred Crawford. Thank you for all of the work that you guys have done to make sure that our young people have some options. And that's what we're talking about. There are options out there, and it's up to us to let people know what those options are. And again, I wish everyone a happy summer. We'll be back in the fall. And I'd like to, again, give a shout out to the Soul City team for providing this platform. And we will continue doing that in the fall. Richard, take care. And again, how do we find out? They said it may be showers. Is it just, are you going to wait to see what's going on?
Well, you can always check us out at Market in the Heights on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
Okay. And again, you might, based on the number of people who are being inducted into this program, it's sold out. However, if you go to harlemweek.com, many of the programs will be streamed. Matter of fact, Soul City will be doing a lot of that streaming live and in delay. So you won't miss out. And thank you again. And for the listeners, I would like to again thank you for your support over the last year on the Urbanology Show on Soul City TV. Take care.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.